Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Penny Wilson, and I am thrilled to be here today with Angela Santiago, who I have recently met. And honestly, I'm so fascinated with the things that she does. I wanted to spend some time talking with her today and learn more about what she does and help you learn more about what she was. So welcome, Angela. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so very much, Penny. I'm so delighted to be here today.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background, where you came from, your education, any certifications you have, because you do a lot of different things.
I do, but they all kind of tie together. But first of all, I was born actually in Switzerland, and I grew up in Germany. Both of my parents are from Bavaria. And interestingly enough, we use a lot of holistic remedies back home. What I didn't know until about 10, 12 years ago, that my Oma, my Uroma, which is my great grandma, she was an herbalist and a midwife. And I thought that was so amazing for me to find out. She used to dry her own flowers and leaves and branches, and she bundled them up in like little bunches. She hung them up to dry, and then she had this little old beat up suitcase where she put them all in, and then she literally walked to sometimes a couple miles to go to people's homes to heal them in a holistic way, or to deliver babies, to make
Wow.
teas and lotions and potions. So I think it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my background.
So
And well,
tell me about, your education and how all the different things that you do.
yes, so I am certified in a vast variety of different energy modalities and techniques. So I learned healing touch, touch for health, emotion code, EFT, to help my clients get unstuck, if you will. I also I'm a certified aromatherapist, so I make my own customized blends for emotional support and balancing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's in a nutshell what I do.
Okay. Cool. Tell me a little bit about how you bring those things together to help people.
All right. So what I do, my main passion is to restore emotional hope, health, and harmony in the people that are seeking me out. Because I'm certified in so many different varieties, a lot of people that come to me, they feel very stuck. They feel like they have a difficult time moving forward. And it could come from old triggers that they're experiencing. It could be new triggers, it could be old triggers, it could be a combination of both. And what my goal is to figure out through muscle testing how to find these trapped emotions which are stuck anywhere in your body. And I also figure out the age, where it's located. It could be inherited. It could be sometimes from when mom was pregnant with that person. They could absorb the mom's emotion. So there's a variety of different techniques that I can figure out through muscle testing. Now, muscle testing is a holistic modality where you literally tap into someone's subconscious mind. And it is amazing and fascinating how accurate it is. My clients are always amazed because when they come to me, they just basically tell me, I'm stuck, I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I'm depressed, I feel stuck in this and this and that particular mode. I don't know how to move forward. And I'm ready to either start a business, but I'm unmotivated, or I can't get over a certain event that happened in their lifetime and they're like stuck. So this is where my expertise comes in, where I help people move forward.
Mm-hmm. And do you have to see them in person or can you work remotely?
Well, I can do all of that. I see people in person, of course, not through this pandemic right now. And interestingly enough, I started to implement telephone and remote sessions about 3 years ago in my business. And at first, some clients were a little apprehensive, but after they had one session, they were so surprised, because working with me and releasing emotion, it doesn't really matter whether they're sitting right physically in front of me or whether we're doing this over the telephone. It works the same way. It's all about intentions and letting go.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool. So who's your ideal client?
Well, a lot of clients, again, that are stuck, that have a difficulty moving forward, and that can often be because of past triggers and past events. And for instance, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. If someone is going through a really difficult divorce, someone that has had perhaps a lot of abuse in their life. I've had clients, they had been molested. Um, I had clients that had been emotionally abused, mentally, where there was alcohol involved in the family. So they had been through some really serious difficulties when they were children, perhaps. Another one could be loss, someone losing somebody. That could be really hard on them, and it doesn't necessarily always mean a person. They could have perhaps lost a job, they could have lost a house, they could have lost something else, right? So loss can come in many different forms. Some people, they may have accidents, serious accidents where they are hurt, and so, or let's say for instance somebody has a car accident. Very often I have clients, they don't want to go in the car, they feel like they're too scared to drive. So we are releasing all of this trapped, stuck emotion and these trapped, stuck, limited beliefs, so they can feel freer again. They feel like they're moving forward and they're happy and joyful and peaceful again, because this is the ultimate objective, for them to keep on moving instead of being in that stuck place forever and ever.
And how do your clients find you?
So a lot of my clients, I actually, it's word of mouth. This is how people, they just keep referring me. However, they can always find me on my website, angelasantiago.com. And on my very first page, on my homepage, I actually have a free podcast. And it is called, I have to actually look it up. This is terrible. How to turn emotional pain into positive beliefs.
Oh, cool.
So, and what I do with this podcast is I describe several different negative beliefs and how to turn them back into positive beliefs. Now, while we're doing this, and this is where my aromatherapy certification comes in, I actually take my favorite lime. I take a bottle of essential oil, and I smell that, and I just take a couple of really deep whiffs, and it goes right into my bloodstream, into my brain, literally. And just a scent, even if you smell it just 2 or 3 times, it can shift your energy into being more uplifted, being more calm, feeling more balanced. And then what I have the client say, instead of saying, oh my gosh, it is such a horrible, I have a horrible day and things will never get better. After you smell your oil, you can say, I am moving forward with ease. Now, doesn't that already sound a whole lot more relaxed and calm? So that is what I do.
Very cool. And we talked, when we were talking the other day, about essential oils, and you said that one of the things that frustrates you is people are going out and buying all these oils and they don't know how to use them. And I was thinking about that the other day after our talk, and I said, you know, I've done it too. But we see it with a lot of different things. People buy stuff because they think it's going to help. They hear all these things about how it's going to help. But then you get home and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to use it. And you have that expertise there to help people learn which ones they should purchase and then how to use them.
Yes, well, I'm actually in the middle of writing a webinar. It's called Easy and Effective Tips for Emotional Emergencies and Meltdowns. So that should be available hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And people can check that out. And what I did with that is, again, I have positive and negative beliefs. I put in all of the essential oils that are good for shock, for trauma, for loss, if someone has a panic attack, and things like that. And I have, for each topic, I have 3 different essential oils, and I put in the safety issues or the safety data. To me, this is huge. Now, first of all, people buy all of these essential oils, and like you said, they're coming home, they don't know what to do with that. So this is where I try to help out, to educate people in which oil is good for what emotion. What I do, I basically work more around all of emotional balancing and emotional stuff than more the physical things. And for me, it is extremely important to educate people on which oil they can use for what. There are some oils they considered hot oils, so it is a must to dilute them and to dilute them properly. And I think this is where a lack of the knowledge of people comes in, that did not get a certification or they don't have a lot of training in that, because they can do some serious damage.
Yeah. I kind of equate it to dietary supplements, because I, see a lot of clients and see a lot of people going out and buying all of these dietary supplements out there and
Yeah.
taking them. And one, you don't know if they're pure or if they're contaminated. And then, some of them interact with medications and they don't
Absolutely.
check that. And even their doctors don't know a lot of these, or don't check that. So it can be a real minefield for people. And I see the same thing with essential oils. So I look forward to that webinar that you're talking about, because I think that's something that we're really going to need. We need now, because, with the situation with COVID and stay-at-home orders and being home, there's a lot of anxiety and so much stress and things going on. And even I was noticing it yesterday. I went out and ran some errands and went to the pharmacy and went to the grocery store. And even getting ready to go in there, it's like there's a little bit of anxiety that it's like, oh my gosh, okay, I got to be sure I have my mask on and all of this. And I get back to my car and, sanitize my hands before I touch anything in the car. And there's just kind of that base anxiety. And at some point, people are going to be dealing with it, because this is a traumatic event. And so that's why I see what you're doing as so important to let people know.
Yeah, I have to agree. And personally, and this is just me, I'm not talking or speaking for anybody else, I do not use Purell. I don't use any of those things. For me, I use essential oils, again, with the right dilution, and I use them before I go somewhere, and I put them on my hands. Uh, if I feel perhaps a little bit of apprehension, coming on, I always have my trusty inhaler with me. It's in my pocket all the time, and all you have to do is just open it up. You can place it directly either on or in your nose, inhale it on both sides, and it literally calms you within just a couple minutes. And right now, going through this COVID-19, I have been noticing that a lot of my clients, even though I've worked with them, they have been doing fairly good. However, being so locked up and being confined, it is causing them even some emotional up and downs. And I think what happened is there is a new layer of triggers, a new layer of shock and trauma. People have lost their jobs. Maybe some of them will lose their businesses. There is a lot of what ifs and what next, where people are really unsure what's going to happen. And that causes them to feel confined and to have this uneasiness inside of them. But just imagine if there is all of this new stuff, and then there is old stuff that they never dealt with. So that can be compounded, and some people can feel really out of sorts right now. A lot more than usual.
Yeah.
And you know. And I hear often people say, well, I thought I dealt with my divorce, or I dealt with all of the issues that happened when I was little. But dealing with it and suppressing them, those are totally two different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes it takes multiple rounds to deal with stuff. It's kind of like, okay, I've got that, and then another aspect or something comes up, and then it's like, okay, let's, work through, or at least that's what I've found personally, is it's like, okay, sometimes you got to work through things multiple times. It's not a one and done.
I agree with you. And, sometimes clients ask me, well, how long do I have to work with you? And I am always honest right up front. I do not know. And I don't. This is a question nobody can answer. You go with a client, just try out one session and see how that goes. And then let me know if you would like to continue working with me. And people are amazed, especially with the muscle response testing, because most of the time I don't know no details about my clients, or they forget about certain things. And then when I test them and I say, hey, something came up at age 8, do you remember? And they're like, oh my goodness, I do. This and this and this event. How did you know? Well, I didn't. I'm using muscle response testing as my tool. And if you like, I can give you a really short, quick testimony from a
Sure.
client. So I had, it was a friend/client of mine. She came to me and she had a lot of pain in her hips and in her lower abdomen and lower back. And it's been for years and years the same way. She's been to the chiropractor, she's had massages, and nothing really worked. And if it did, it was only short term. It was only just for a short term relief, but then it started to come back. So by the time I started to do energy work and releasing of emotions, she came to me. And so I tested her and we figured out what emotions were stuck in her hips. And I can't remember, but I think it was panic, it was shock, and nervousness. And so she started, and I said, how are you feeling? She says, a little better. So I asked her, actually, before we started, to bend down to see how far she can get down with her hands, if she could reach the floor with her fingertips, and she couldn't. She could only get to her knees. So that right there would just tell me how much pain she was, right? So she felt better around her hip area. And I said, okay, well, let's just keep testing a little longer. And I came up with age 5. And of course, I asked her, do you remember anything? And her eyes, immediately filled up with tears. She was turned reddish and she says, oh my gosh, I was molested at 5. Now, interestingly enough, all of this dark energy was around her hips and her lower abdomen and lower back.
Mm.
And that's where she was molested, in that area. Now, that was at age 5. At this point, when I saw her, she was 50. So imagine all of these years that she has had this stuck energy and had back aches and pain in that area. It is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really incredible.
And
That's
then I
really,
want to tell you, I did the test again. I said, see how far you can reach after we released all of this. And I remember there was panic, shock, shame, humiliation. There was a whole lot of energy and a whole lot of negative beliefs and emotions. And by the time we were done testing, she could reach all the way to the floor.
wow.
We were both amazed at this time, but this kind of stuff happens all the time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Is there, if people are out looking for essential oils, is there something that you'd recommend that they look for?
Well, first of all, make sure you look for a company that has all certified organic essential oils. For me, this is a must. For me, it's very important to make sure that I have something that is pure and is of the highest quality. And whatever I use at home, even if it's a carrier oil, jojoba oil, organic coconut oil, if I make lip balms, I use coconut and cocoa oil, and all of those oils, and what we call them carrier oils, they are organic. So for me, that is a must. to start out with. And there are many companies out there that are very good. I don't like to recommend any per se. I like for people to do homework, to do their own work, to see what they can come up with, because there's a lot of stuff out there. Now, if somebody, of course, if my clients ask me, of course, I will share that, but I don't want to prefer one company over another.
Sure.
There's so many of them out there that are really good.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yes.
What could be a quick tip, something easy and actionable that people can do to improve their life, make things better now?
If they have essential oils at home, and my favorites, and everybody that knows me knows that I love citrus oils. They are hands down my favorite. As I already showed you earlier, the lime oil. Yes, love lime oil. I love citrus. I like, what do I like? The orange. I like lime, grapefruit, green mandarin. Fabulous. Oh my gosh, it is so amazing. And whatever they have, or they could have maybe frankincense, because frankincense is calming. The citrus oils are more uplifting. My favorite combination is bergamot and orange, because bergamot is an adaptogenic, which means it either can calm your emotions or it can lift your emotions, or it can do both. It depends on what your body needs. And so take 1 drop of orange, 1 drop of bergamot, put it on a cloth or something small, and just inhale it. That is something super quick, something easy, and you can do this anywhere in just seconds.
Love it. Love it. So thank you so much for your time. If people want to know more, where can they find you?
AngelaSantiago.com. You can also go on my Facebook page under Simply Holistic Remedies, and the same on Instagram, Simply Holistic Remedies. But my website, AngelaSantiago.com.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm sure we'll be talking some more soon.
All right. It was my pleasure. You have a wonderful day also. Bye-bye.
You too.